Okay, so we have covered a lot in incredible detail. So now I'm going to make the connection between nutrition and the immune system so that you have the information that you need to deal with COVID-19. This pandemic is first and foremost unsettling to every one of us. I can't imagine what you are going through right now. So don't take any of this as a prescription for nutrition that you need to follow right now. Take this as a learning experience solely. Take from it what really resonates with you. You have a lot on your plate. Only you know what you can get done in these types of times. Most of us have been touched by the infection already. I have 3 family members that are recovering, and so I kind of can relate to this. But the rest of our lives have also been turned upside down. So just lean back, relax, and take this for what it is. I'm going to show you how powerful nutrition can actually impact your immune system and make it stronger. So what can we do to push back? How can we change our diet with all this pressure, this pandemic pressure? That is usually when willpower fails us. Is adopting an immune strengthening diet really going to make that much of a difference? Well, hear me out here. I'm going to be respectful and just teach. Your life choices are your own. Today's topic is nutrition as immunotherapy. You're probably asking, what does that mean? How did she come up with that crazy title? Yes, we are focused on immune strength with this pandemic, but we can't just take a multivitamin. You know, a pill for every ill, that just never works. Convenient and healthy are often at odds, right? We have a world full of enticing processed foods full of artificial ingredients that taste yummy. They have been engineered, and they are cheap too. As you know, the menopausal body has less protective hormones, so now we have allergies and food sensitivities. Our digestion is wacky. We seem to be affected by food and alcohol in a brand new and irritating way. Darn, this is the cost of low hormones. We can get some relief with HRT, but it just may not be enough against COVID-19. So how do we get an immune boost with nutrition? Let's look at what you can control. Here we have a balance with a bunch of stuff we juggle every day. What if we prepared for COVID by magnifying the immune strengthening things like Superwoman strong? What if we did what we could to shrink the things that we know weaken our immune system? Then maybe, just maybe, our immune systems are actually more ready for COVID. That rascal won't take us by surprise. We have some ammunition. Everything on this slide is something you can change, so it's included in this course. So specifically, you can magnify the nutrients and reduce the toxins and the allergens. It's really as simple as that. Those 3 things summarize nutrition as immunotherapy. The AIP, or Autoimmune Protocol, helps the immune system. It was designed by PhDs, nutritionists, and autoimmune and cancer researchers. These people know the chemistry of food. Some of the chemistry out there is better than others. Well, for some AIP adopters, strengthening the immune system is the primary goal of their diet. That's their priority. They want to heal, so they have found the diets that move them along that journey. There are probably 500,000 people out there that have adopted this diet to heal. In one study, AIPers had an 73% remission rate, and that response rivals that of any drug with no added toxicity or immune system interruption. Don't get me wrong, it's an overall healthy diet, but it is also a healing diet, a hormone balancing diet, an anti-toxin diet, a healthy fats diet, an anti-infection diet, even a fertility diet. Not that we need that now. It's basically an everything diet. We never look at the scale on this diet, and yet this is a diet that usually results in weight loss. It's an anti-inflammatory diet, so it results in body-wide calming. AIP turns the old food pyramid on its head. You won't recognize this diet because it supercharges the body. This is the kind of diet people use to recover from diseases. So it gives you all the nutrients you need to make sure your immune system is turned on and has ammunition for COVID-19. My training as an AIP coach spread the science like this over 6 weeks of work. I'm going to make this really simple today so that you can see its power. It's not important for you to get all the details, just for you to know that when you supercharge your diet, it goes to work for you better than any medicine. Here you get a glimpse of the 16 key nutrients that regulate your immune system. Good amounts of these are necessary for you to even recognize that COVID-19 has entered your body. Strong immune function can even turn back the virus as you breathe it in. It never takes hold in your body to multiply, make you sick, and do damage to your organs. You are stopping the virus at the door, so to speak. You might remember from the hormone lessons that estrogen is also needed to recognize a novel pathogen like COVID-19. So let's not forget about that HRT if we need it. Here we look at just adding fiber into our diet. Fruits and veggies give us fiber. We do know from animal studies that fiber lowers chance of death from flu. And flu virus is in the same family as COVID-19. So there's that. One key aspect to AIP is adding an organ meat like liver 5 times weekly. Well, that delivers a punch of nutrients. If it were alcohol, you'd be drunk by this. 7 times the daily amount of vitamin A, which strengthens the intestines and helps with the absorption of 50 other nutrients. Vitamin A itself is anti-infective. Vitamin A is used in cancer therapies to get the immune system to attack the tumors. Vitamin A moves the immune system to a higher state of readiness. It delivers 12 of the 16 needed immune regulators. It has a large dose of all your major B vitamins and major minerals. It's doing a lot of heavy lifting here, so your infection is contained. So if you took all the AIP recommendations and you ate them in one day, you would be getting something like 40 times the recommended daily amount of vitamin A, and that is immunotherapy. You would also have plenty of zinc. There is a COVID-19 clinical trial for zinc. You would have high vitamin D through the food. There is also a clinical trial for this. So we have lots of indications that diet will make a difference. There is even a COVID-19 app that just updated so you could mark the type of diet that you follow. Then you can log your symptoms for COVID-19 and researchers can assess which diet likely helps the most. You can participate in this study. Just visit your app store. You might be asking, why do I care about clinical trials? Well, if a trial is funded, someone is putting money down that nutrition affects your COVID-19 experience. Should you care? There is even a clinical trial in Egypt comparing diets of different COVID-19 patients. They have evidence that vitamins C, D, E, selenium, carotenoids, and omega-3s will create a strong defense against COVID-19. The typical Western diet has less of these, and AIP is full of them. So how might your diet compare to the required amounts of certain vitamins and minerals? Well, here are some of our soft spots. 73% of us are low in zinc, 39% are low in iron, 68% of us are magnesium deficient, 55% are low in B12, and that's critical for energy production, and 60% of us are low in vitamin E. You know that AIP excels and exceeds all of these levels of vitamins and minerals. So that's my evidence that nutrition is a tool for fighting COVID-19. Researchers know it. AIPers know it. You might be new to this. I am throwing some other elements of health on this slide so that we don't lose the context. So many things matter when it comes to health. I'm not going to hide anything from you. So for many people, diets is a dirty word. We've all been on diets that have made us hungry or hangry. We have all suffered under the premise that a diet is going to make us stronger and better. So how is AIP different? Well, on AIP, we actually never get on the scale. And this will have a huge impact on your shame and guilt. In fact, an AIP coach will never ask you how much you weigh. We know that we're looking for nutrients, and so we're only looking for behaviors that increase your nutrient load or reduce your toxins and allergens. So we're measuring things entirely differently, and that allows us to focus a little bit more on positivity and keeps us from comparing ourselves to other people. You're on a unique journey here. This journey is entirely your own, and so only you are going to know if AIP is working for you. When food is at the root of our immune weakness, we often don't see or feel the connection between individual foods and our symptoms. In AIP, you strengthen the immune system in what's called an elimination, nutrient-dense phase. This strength results in some foods becoming more tolerable, but also makes the signal really loud and clear for the offending foods. When you reintroduce foods, you might feel anxiety, sadness, itchy, sleepless, a stomach ache, a runny nose, etc., etc. It makes your response to the foods very clear and certain. You will easily know what foods are in and what foods are out. That certainty is actually a good feeling. It delivers confidence. So experiments here can be very valuable. In fact, AIP is one big experiment. We don't know exactly how it will turn out. What does it take to become a healer? Food is entrenched in our life and our history. There's so much friction to making change to our diets that we have to consider these issues very carefully. Let's evaluate the values that we assign to food. See which of these things rings true to you. Food as a cultural expression. This is who I am, and how can I stop being who I am? Food is a convenience. I need to eat quick so I can do something else. How can I do less of work or hobbies to focus on food? Food as flavor. Flavor leads us back to many happy memories. How can I recreate those feelings and memories without the old food? Flavor means home, family, and love. What substitutes can I use now? Food can be a personal or social expression. Others value me because I provide food and flavor. Who is a caregiver or a partner that doesn't show caring with food? Our very best memories are strongly linked to food and flavor. It's so hard to let that go. But what if you began seeing food as a healing tool with unique qualities that deliver health? What if food is your partner walking with you down the path to recovery, or a partner against infection? What if you could feel confidence that you could fight an infection and win? We can't guarantee that outcome, but since nutrients play such a strong role in immune function, you could get a running start on this. Reframing the changes we are exploring will go a long way to creating the freedom to change. So let's look at your life for a moment. You live by a certain set of values. How do you feel when you live by your values? On this coming slide, I've got a list of values. There aren't any right or wrong answers. There are only your answers. Which of these values are in your top 5? Take a few minutes and think about how you feel when you live by those values. You should feel a calmness, a happiness right now. You feel aligned. You feel centered. Your muscles are relaxing. You might even feel a warmth. The world seems right. Now write a paragraph for each of the 5 values. Think about how you could apply that value to improving your nutrition, creating a healing experience, and becoming your own healer. You can see from this experience that each of us is on a unique journey. We all bring our life experiences, values, and strengths to develop solutions. We each have to take our own approach on this very similar journey. You're unique. We have all heard, where there's a will, there's a way. Just as important, though, is that my way is not likely your way. Each of us will invest a different amount of time, money, sweat, and tears to get this done. Each of us will know a different set of facts around nutrition, and yet we all experience some healing when we try it. Each of us put together a different combination of nutrition, movement, sleep, stress management, hormone balance, HRT, and toxin reduction. For example, one person meditates while another socializes. We all carve out our own solution based on certain guidelines and our own particular needs. We are seeking balance and trying to optimize health while living our life. So here is another important coaching activity. It is called building a vision, describing your future when all of your problems are solved. Once again, there's no right answer here. Get in a quiet space, give yourself some time to think about this, and consider the following set of questions. If you woke up tomorrow morning and all of your health concerns were gone, what would be different? How would you be moving? How would you be feeling? What activities would you be doing? How would you describe yourself? What would someone else say about you as you walked by? How would your relationships change? What new skills have you built? What can you claim as new accomplishments? What can you claim as new, stronger values? And what personal strengths have you leaned into that made the journey joyful? Pause a few minutes and describe the transformed you. You won't focus on the how for now. We don't worry about that. Let's push that to the future and focus on the vision for now. The vision will carry you through. Come back to it anytime you need to do some creative problem solving around healing. Notice that I end this exercise with a comment about the joyful journey. When we reframe this whole process in the positive language, we change the outcome. We actually change our experiences based on the language that we select. Sure, there will be bumps in the road, but we can handle that. We've done things like this before. If it helps, share your vision with someone you trust. You can also display it prominently, someplace that you would see it and that it can remind you of the positivity that you're seeking on your journey. Rework your vision when life gives you lemons. This is a living document, and you're allowed to change it. In fact, it's only useful if you do change it. So as a coach, I don't usually share my personal vision. In fact, it's kind of a joke in our house that I used to always say, "Don't compare, it's so unfair." And the kids would chant that back to me. And it actually turned out really great. So it's not really good practice for a coach to share a vision, but I'm going to share a little bit with you today. Both of my parents passed away at 60 years of age. So I was kind of coming up to 60, and one of my visions built in my 50s, of course, was to live past 60. And I know that sounds crazy, but at that point, before I hit 60, I really thought it was all genetics and it was my destiny. And so I made some massive, massive changes to nutrition and movement. In fact, this year I'm going on 12 consecutive years of daily exercise. So I've really set some really hard goals, some high standards, and I've been able to achieve it. But the payout has all been there. So I'm no longer afraid. I'm 63 and I'm no longer afraid, but really setting that goal that felt so high at that time as a stretch goal really helped me make those changes. So think about your vision right now. Is it really a stretch vision? Is it something that you're not certain that you can actually attain? Is it something, it needs to be something so desirable that it will actually motivate change. So revisit your vision and think about that. Again, your vision is unique to you. No one can alter this or take it away. Your dream is your right as a human being. You deserve this right now. Now let's consider how you might make change. How have you been successful making changes to nutrition in the past? Add some of your own personal notes right here. Because we are individuals, we need to approach this as experimentation. We know that AIP will make huge changes in possible allergens, toxins, and nutrient load, but we can't be absolutely sure how it will affect us. If we lean into our learnings and treat this as an experiment, then there's no feeling of pass or fail or guilt or shame. We are nurturing our bodies to see what happens. Take a moment here to generate some ideas on your future experiment. Okay, I'm going to shift gears a little bit here and talk about the AIP diet specifically. I'm going to show you how it can make a major difference. And this is a little redundant to what I talked to before, but this goes into some detail so you can see how it actually plays out. This is the power of rearranging your food intake. Remember that there are no good or bad foods. There are just difficult molecules. Things that our body never saw in ancestral times are really hard for us to process. We just don't have the genetics to take care of some of those toxins and allergens. Remember that 99% of what you eat is not absorbed into your bloodstream. Your body takes some selective activity and grabs the nutrients it needs. So make sure those nutrients are available. First, let me say that almost all whole food diets improve on junk food. So you may feel a great benefit just moving to whole food. You might increase your nutrient load as you move away from processed foods, which are nutrient wimps. But consider that gluten-free is about 5% of the AIP diet. You may have heard of people feeling much better on gluten-free. Well, there are different ways of going gluten-free. Gluten-free with processed replacements like bread and pizza, are not increasing nutrients or removing allergens or toxins. AIP is doing the work of rebuilding your body and making it work better. It is way more than a whole food diet. There is an education task up front to help you drive the process. Investing in the books will really help here. Then you can be more efficient. Lastly, there are about 500,000 people in the U.S. that have tried this to date, so you are not alone. Most have tried it as a do-it-yourself project. Many have used a coach to motivate and fine-tune the results. Some have even spent several $1,000s for a functional medicine doctor. I was personally able to avoid those expenses and even the illnesses they treat by initiating HRT, basic nutritional changes, 60 minutes of daily walking, and avoiding toxins like cleaning products and personal care. That's all it took for me, and I have some very nasty genetics. It's a lot to juggle at first, but it becomes routine over time. I'm going to simplify AIP to categorize the factors that influence what exactly is an in-food or an AIP healthy food. An AIP healthy food is different from what we normally think of as a healthy food. If you recognize the drivers of disease, decreasing allergens, toxins, increasing nutrients, you make the strides in health and healing. The elimination phase of AIP takes out a lot of foods. Common foods like grains, dairy, legumes, and a vegetable group called nightshades. One driving piece of logic behind this is that the possible allergens are driving your symptoms. But that's not normally how we think of food, right? We think of aspects of taste and how it fits into our routines. Do you feel a heaviness when you think about this task of elimination? Most people do. Our brains have linked these foods and food experiences like restaurants to happy times, to family times. Making change now seems crazy and insurmountable. Let me share a tip that can make this easy. First, put on your own oxygen mask. Make the changes for you. Don't drag along your entire family, even though you wish wellness for them. Love yourself through this first, and then explore how to help others. It's in our nature to do for family first, but in this case, you don't pull them into the experiment. Wait until you are strong. Your life will be evidence for others, and you will have more clarity if it's just you for a while. If you want company on the journey, we have a membership site where we get support and we troubleshoot. Most of these common allergens are eliminated on AIP. I include the symptom list here because this is most likely the change you will feel, the improvement you will feel in the elimination phase of AIP. Rather than me read this to you, take a minute and look at these. In this stage of life, you are most likely fully aware of allergies and their dangers. These can be 100% resolved. Another key driver around AIP is the elimination of toxins. We normally love the mouthfeel or texture of certain processed foods. When we start looking into ingredients, we see chemical names we can barely pronounce. On AIP, we think of these as possible toxins, and some are actually proven to be toxic. We let a lot of products on the market that aren't really safe for everyone or safe in combination. Our food systems aren't about health. They are about profit, so it makes sense. In AIP, we drop this kind of chemistry. The shift to organic foods can help us too. Another fact that really got me crazy was learning that in 2012, wheat processing added herbicides to wheat as a drying factor after the wheat was cut down, multiplying the herbicide load on that food. So wheat before 2012 was essentially different from wheat after 2012 and much harder on your body. Think of all the chemicals that make your car run well. Well, those same chemicals are on the machines that process food. Not very appealing, is it? We also drop all the colorings on AIP, and we increase our fiber load so that toxins are actually removed from the body. It all works together. Now let's dig into some of the real details. You won't need to memorize this because there are plenty of books and blogs that cover this in great detail. In fact, you wouldn't even have to buy a book to start the process. When I started this AIP in 2013, the book wasn't even written yet. I was actually at the author's blog learning about AIP. As I said before, we are avoiding man-made for obvious reasons. Let's look specifically at why some plants are out of AIP elimination. Well, basically, each plant has its own chemistry that serves the plant, not us. Plants have a defense system because they can't run away. Some plant chemistry is meant to hurt us to keep us from eating it. Some brainiac figured out what the plant chemistry does and how it creates problems for us. Sometimes it's a big problem and sometimes it's a small problem, but we take it all out in elimination as a caution. We clear the slate. I bet it goes without saying that alcohol and sugar are super disruptive, so we take those out. We even take out anything that looks like sugar because our body still responds with a blood sugar spike. Those spikes basically mess up everything. Here is a nice little summary of how AIP got built in the first place. Keep in mind that AIP elimination is not forever. It's a tool to help you make connections between what you eat and how you feel. You will add foods back in later to see if they work. And you will see over time that some foods can be occasional without any problems. But generally, once you see how food works, how some foods are difficult or toxic, you can't unsee it. So it's a process. There are AIP courses that describe this in 20 hours of very technical video that'll cost you about $500. And I'm doing it in a few slides here. Consider this a gift, putting it in plain English. In each case, I'm linking the AIP goal to COVID-19. I'm trying to make the immune system connections really clear. You don't have to understand all the medical stuff to follow the logic here. AIP removes foods that are inflammatory to everyone. Some ingredients, some molecules, are just universally difficult. COVID 19 has an inflammatory stage that damages your organs. You wouldn't want to add food inflammation to COVID inflammation. AIP removes foods that have elements that lock up nutrients. Your food is fighting to get absorbed. Some food compounds lock up nutrients. Just make it easier and take those out. To strengthen the immune system, you need all the nutrients. AIP removes foods that act as hormones or block hormones. As you know, hormones, or the lack of them, drive many, many symptoms. When food looks like a hormone, you can confuse your own hormone systems. You need estradiol and progesterone to fight infection. Food compounds can falsely signal that you have enough, and that stops your own hormone production. AIP removes foods that are likely allergenic or reactive. You probably know what your particular problem foods are. What you may not know is your sensitivities are changing all the time with the changes in your body. So save your money. Don't bother with expensive food sensitivity tests. AIP removes all major possible allergens in elimination phase. This increases nutrient absorption, getting you ready to fight infection. AIP removes foods that are immune disrupting and weakening. These are communication molecules. Our foods are. Your immune system is full of communication molecules that activate and deactivate the immune system. Sometimes food sends its own signals and causes crossfire or chaos. Then your immune system can't work well. It will have trouble with COVID 19. AIP removes low quality foods, foods with hormones added, and pesticides. So this takes a bit of label reading, but you will get the hang of it in no time. Even Walmart has grass-fed hamburger for about $6 per pound. This increases nutrients again and decreases toxins. You get the drill. AIP adds foods with 10 to 100 times more nutrients and covers all 16 immune regulators. So, vegetables have 10 to 100 times more nutrients per calorie than grains. Can you imagine that your body was aching for these all this time? AIP takes out the grains, they're inflammatory, and adds 7 to 8 servings of veggies a day. Just imagine a blossoming flower. That's you with this kind of eating. AIP adds foods that are complete proteins and easily absorbed. AIP recommends seafood, fish, liver, and other organ meats. You are an animal, so eating animals helps you easily get the proteins you need to build tissue and make repairs. It makes the food bioavailable or ready to use. You don't have to convert a plant form to your form. Meats are nutrient packed too, with an average of 3 times the minerals of grains. AIP adds veggie variety, and that includes phytonutrients. Well, we can't leave 10,000 or more phytonutrients out. We don't even know what all these plant compounds do. We are still learning. When we add plants of different colors, we get a rainbow of nutrients. We also add healthy fats. Well, the fats discussion could get really technical. Let's just say we're taking out things our ancestors never saw, like corn oil. Our ancestors did not die from chronic disease. So, if it helps to think about your grandparents or your great grandparents when you plan and select your food, do that. They would want you happy and healthy, wouldn't they? AIP prefers food over problematic supplements as a nutrient source. This one is one I added to the standard AIP books. We can't keep thinking that health comes in a pill. All the AIP coaches ask their clients to consider supplement evaluation and elimination to clear the muddy waters. I've got a downloadable for you that addresses this specifically. Know for now that the right food is magical. It's a tool in your toolbox, and today you are Betty the Builder. So you are becoming a nutrivore, not a carnivore, eating only meat, not a vegetarian, not a vegan. You are hunting nutrients, and a lot of them. I'm sure you are getting the picture here. Note that every food has its own nutrient profile. That's a certain set of vitamins and minerals that it delivers. You want to try and source the highest quality ingredients that you can afford. Eat variety, rotate foods. 8 veggies a day normally leads you to eat salads, soups, and veggie mixes at 3 meals a day. Home cooked is definitely preferred. You can eat out on this diet. I can always get a hamburger or a steak with no sauce and a steamed veggie. I can eat at Five Guys, Chipotle, and even Cheesecake Factory, depending upon how much I want to spend. I eat local. The grocery stores usually have a section for you. And mindful eating, slowing down, thinking about your food, enjoying it, savoring it. That improves the absorption. Our bodies are really complex, and tracking 50 plus nutrients would be incredibly difficult. So we categorize the foods and shoot for a certain number of servings of each. Consider something like bone broth, which includes most of the amino acids that become the proteins in your body, with all the minerals in the bones in the right ratios for your use. So there's a superfood. Note that people that only partially adopt the AIP diet but are able to modify stress, movement, relationships, other toxins, and hormones see significant progress in healing and reduction of symptoms. We don't expect perfection here. These are all guidelines. I usually coach clients to experiment with 30 days elimination to see what healing looks and feels like. Making this sustainable is an ongoing task. We learn and grow. That is all. I talked about the magic of liver at the beginning of this presentation. Here we see that one serving of liver has over 7 times the daily value. Daily value is basically the amount you need to avoid illness, not the amount you need for healing. The sweet potato has 1/5 the amount of vitamin A in liver, and ricotta cheese has 1/25 the amount of vitamin A of liver. Foods are not really equal in what they add to your health and healing. A little bit of research on my part revealed that vitamin A can be a critical factor in preventing infection. We are all very aware that novel infections like COVID-19 put a lot of pressure on the immune system. Vitamin A helps us to recognize that virus or bacteria, recognize it early, and respond to it strongly. Also, note that vitamin A deficiency is linked to infection. Some countries have vitamin A deficiencies, and then they all have rampant infections. Vitamin A supports the intestinal wall, acting as a portal to all the other vitamins and minerals. So, this is critical to anyone's health. So, what else does liver bring to the party? Well, basically 12 of the 16 key immune regulators. Regulators turn our immune system on and off. Regulators help to find infection and recruit immune cells to that location. I am highlighting some of these here. There is a bouquet of B vitamins with 10 times the daily amount of B12. This is really important in generating energy in the body. Imagine how much energy it takes to fight infection. There is also a nice chunk of choline, and that is not available in so many foods. And on this slide, we can see that liver has half of our daily protein needs with nearly every amino acid. Amino acids are the building blocks of many of the body's structures, including immune cells. There's a nice chunk of minerals, too. The minerals from liver are very easily absorbed. Liver is the only organ in the body that fully regrows itself after damage. So there are key bioactive healing peptides here to help. So what happens when you put together one day of eating on AIP, keeping nutrients in mind for every single mouthful? Now, this is a hypothetical, and I might have trouble eating this much food, but you will see that this is doable. No fancy recipes here, just food. Well, here's a day with liver, lettuce, cabbage, banana, carrots, sweet potato, chicken thigh, apple, mangoes, chestnuts, coconut milk, bone broth, and shrimp. I loaded this set of meals into a tool called Chronometer, and it says I have 40 times my daily requirement for vitamin A. That's 40 times. Since vitamin A is being investigated as an actual immunotherapy for cancer, I think you get the idea. In AIP land, it is as powerful as any drug out there. So Chronometer color codes my results, and you can see I almost closed all my purple circles for targets of vitamins and minerals. It's looking good here with 87% immune support overall. I have one red circle, so maybe my calcium is too high. But all those green circles mean awesome sauce. Good job, kitty. You could put your favorite meals into Chronometer and see where you are on immune support. That took me about 5 minutes on the free version. They say that logging our food can be a very important step in building awareness, and that awareness makes change easier. I personally don't log anymore, but maybe this will work for you. Just to compare a bit, here are the trends again in the US for a few particular vitamins and minerals. We've got a problem here, and I think we are all well aware of it. Sometimes it just helps to see it for what it is. This is stopping our healing. The puzzle pieces don't fit together. Our body doesn't work as well. You really need all the nutrients together to protect from infection, autoimmune, and cancer. Just one nutrient won't do it. And inflammatory foods will hinder nutrient absorption. So, heading in the AIP direction can really make a difference. To give you some perspective, I saw one assessment that put the nutrient value of grains at about 1/17th the nutrient value of liver. Moving away from grains leads to so many big changes: more nutrients in every bite and more nutrients in every calorie. Let me add that supporting needed thyroid or sex hormones will allow you more flexibility in your diet. You won't need to lean so heavily on nutrients to resolve symptoms, as some of them are actually hormonally driven. Likewise, you can add in nutrients first to give you some energy to make the other diet changes. Sometimes this works really well. Also, sometimes we can adopt a few key things and that will be enough. But many times we need to adopt AIP 100% to fully recover. You won't know until you make the experiment. And then, of course, I like to say over time we experiment off just to see if different elements are still necessary. I had one client that took 4 years to get strong enough to add white rice back into her diet, but she did it. She was very, very patient. Here are the two best books on the AIP diet and lifestyle. The first one has all the science, but also has so many good tips on lifestyle and troubleshooting. Sarah Ballantyne is a PhD in medical biophysics. She has studied cancer and autoimmune disease, so basically the immune system. She really understands this solution. Eileen Laird wrote the simple guide, and it is the best starter book. It's meant to fit in your bag while shopping. She has a great podcast too called Phoenix Helix: Full Stories of Recovery. Check out your downloadables in this course for more hints on an AIP experiment.